it is not enough to just feed and clothe a child and give them a safe and comfortable place to live. Children need to be loved, they need to feel loved, they need access to extracurricular activities, they need to be nurtured, they need to develop self-worth and self-esteem. Yes, they need discipline, but we need to encourage them to be the best that they can be.
Today on Jamaica Magazine, we share some ways in which the government is ensuring our children are empowered. Welcome, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Coming up, a look at the Child Care and Protection Act. Here our children speak out on their rights. Stick around. An informative and enlightening program awaits you. Let's head to the news first.
Good day, I'm Stacey Ann Smith, and this is your GIS News for Tuesday, July 1. The Police Service Commission is to begin the process of appointing a new commissioner in the wake of Monday's announcement of Owen Ellington's retirement. A release from the Ministry of National Security said the police commissioner would begin his retirement after completing his vacation leave, which begins on July 1. During his absence, Deputy Commissioner of Police Glenmore Hines is the acting commissioner. The commissioner has said he's retiring because of the need to separate himself from the police force prior to the start of the Commission of Inquiry into the 2010 operations of the security forces in West Kingston. His retirement is also to allow the Independent Commission of Investigations to freely probe allegations of police killings in the Clarendon Division. In the meantime, National Security Minister Peter Bunting has thanked Mr. Ellington for his 34 years of service to the Jamaica Constabulary Force and the Jamaican people. Minister Bunting said his professionalism and crime-fighting strategies led to a significant reduction in crime and an improvement in public security. Prime Minister Portia Simpson-Miller is in Antigua and Barbuda for the 35th regular meeting of the Conference of CARICOM Heads of Government. The meeting is being held in the island's capital, St. John's, from July 1 to 4. Mrs. Simpson-Miller and her CARICOM counterparts will consider a range of issues, including a report of the CARICOM Commission on the Economy and the status of negotiations for a CARICOM-Canada Trade Development Agreement. The leaders will also discuss climate change, HIV/AIDS, marijuana, crime and security, as well as preparations for the 3rd International Conference on Small Island Developing States, SIDS. Prime Minister Simpson-Miller will also join talks with the Spanish Prime Minister and Cuba's Minister of Foreign Affairs. Government's youth entrepreneurship program, Startup Jamaica, will be strengthened with a $5 million investment by the National Commercial Bank. NCB has signed a memorandum of understanding with the Ministry of Science, Technology, Energy and Mining to support the initiative, which will provide business support for innovators and entrepreneurs.
It will be an accelerator where the entrepreneurs will be provided with seed funding, and the seed funding is primarily to allow the company or the teams to have at least one person who is fully dedicated to the work of the company.
Startup Jamaica, which launches this year, is meant to boost business development and provide jobs.
And so it will require the efforts of all of us, companies like NCB working along with the ministry to facilitate the required knowledge and training and establish cutting-edge innovation centers across the country.
NCB joins Lime and Jamaica National, as well as Middle Eastern company Oasis 500, in its support for the government venture. The Jamaica Intellectual Property Office, JIPO, is collaborating with its international affiliate, the World Intellectual Property Organization, for the legal protection of reggae as both a brand and as an industry.
We need to prevent others outside of Jamaica from defining what reggae is or is not. We need to protect against others from outside Jamaica acquiring legal rights and economic benefits around the world and brand reggae without authorization from the government of Jamaica.
Minister Hilton was speaking on Monday at JIPO's International Reggae Day conference held ahead of the July 1 celebration. He said JIPO was examining 2 strategies with respect to the protection of reggae. One is a certification mark to designate reggae and or Jamaica reggae to promote the use of Jamaican artists, studios, musicians and merchandise. The second is obtaining the inscription of reggae on UNESCO's list of intangible cultural heritage. Youth and Culture Minister Lisa Hanna has recommitted Jamaica to the elimination of violence against children while hosting the two-day UN Cross-Regional Conference for Advancing the Protection of Children from Violence. Minister Hanna updated the gathering on the island's violence prevention measures. Among them, the development of the National Plan of Action for an integrated response to children and violence, a multi-sectoral approach to children, and improvements in children's services.
As we continue to improve our national and regional monitoring and evaluation systems, we will continue to shine the light on the hidden, unreported, under-recorded reality of child abuse. We must be ready to provide the therapeutic interventions necessary for child victims, the appropriate sanctions for the perpetrators, and the urgent mechanisms to prevent further abuse.
And finally, the National Family Planning Board is spreading the word this year to remind the nation of the importance of fathers and their role in the family. Chairman Dr. Sandra Knight says the message being sent is that daddies matter, and the agency is encouraging fathers to be proactive in their role as parents and good role models. The effort is being supported by Fathers Incorporated, which is working to develop a culture of partnership within families.
Only 18% of young people can point to the fact that their parents are partners. Only 18%. We really want to see our women and our men develop partnerships and have an investment in each other on some equal terms.
Professor Gale was addressing a recent GIS think tank with the NFPB. And that's it for GIS News today. I'm Stacey Ann Smith. Thank you for watching.
Is your silence worth the life of a child? Report child abuse. Call the Office of the Children's Registry at 1-888-PROTECT. Be the change. Speak out. Protect our children.
Prime Minister meets with IMF head, reaffirming commitment to job creation and economic growth even as government carries out reform and increases social protection. Government looks to tackle the importation of banned supplements, and more sugar workers receive houses. With Jamaica House Weekly, I'm Andrea Chisholm. Prime Minister Portia Simpson-Miller was commended by the Managing Director of the International Monetary Fund, Christine Lagarde, who visited the island last week. In a statement, Madame Lagarde praised the Prime Minister and her team for their commitment to reforming Jamaica's economy, laying the foundation for inclusive growth, job creation, and a more prosperous future for Jamaicans. Madame Lagarde was on the island for a two-day visit where she held talks with government and opposition officials and members of the private sector. During a press briefing at Jamaica House Friday, Mrs. Simpson-Miller said stimulating growth and employment was the highest priority of the government and the IMF.
The Jamaican government is committed to continuing the process of reform. We are placing specific focus on cementing the gains from fiscal consolidation while accelerating the pace of domestic growth. We are making further improvements in the business environment and implementing major projects in a timely way to serve as catalysts for growth and development. It is also the shared commitment of the government and the IMF that vital social safety net programs will be maintained to protect the most vulnerable, even as we press ahead with economic transformation.
45 more sugar workers have received certificates of ownership under the Sugar Barracks Relocation Project. The latest recipients hail from Barham, Shrewsbury and Maysmore in Westmoreland. During the handing over ceremony, Prime Minister Simpson-Miller said plans were far advanced for Phase 2 of the project.
The second phase will address the dire need of those residents who did not in fact, resided in the barracks at the time of divestment, but who lived both formally and informally on the sugar estate.
And community development was further encouraged when Mrs. Simpson Miller, along with Minister Natalie Nita Headley, opened the Knowledge Multipurpose Center on the weekend.
I believe in community development. I believe in the spirit of progress existing in every community across Jamaica. All some of them need is just that push start to move forward. As a government, we're working with you to give you the tools that will instill in you the confidence to succeed.
The Jamaica Social Investment Fund and the Knowledge Community Benevolent Society provided the $133.6 million to complete the community center. Government is looking at legislation to tackle the illegal importation of banned supplements. So says Minister without portfolio, responsible for sport, Natalie Nita Headley. The minister was making her sectoral presentation to Parliament Tuesday. Mrs. Nita Headley also had encouraging words for the island's athletes.
I must take this opportunity to once again encourage our athletes, juniors and seniors, to avoid adopting this trend of reliance on supplements and to focus instead on building a diet based on good nutrition and healthy practices, bearing in mind that the giving of one's best is always good enough.
To ensure that athletes will be protected, Mrs. Nita Headley says government will be implementing the athletes' insurance plan.
Cabinet has endorsed the plan. Additionally, the development of the procurement document for the entity which will execute the Jamaica Athletes Insurance Plan is on the way.
Mrs. Nita Headley said the Jamaica Anti-Doping Commission, JADCO, would be ramping up its athlete sensitization program. The minister said athletes would be updated on the doping control process and the World Anti-Doping Commission's prohibited substance list. She also told Parliament that JADCO had formed a partnership with the Canadian Centre for Ethics in Sport to have JADCO's anti-doping program meet WADA's anti-doping code and mandatory international standards. Even as that continued, the agency also stepped up its testing program.
Since this year, JADCO has increased the number of tests. 203 tests have been administered so far, 69 out of competition and 134 in competition.
Mrs. Simpson Miller has expressed deep sadness at last week's passing of former Member of Parliament James Thompson, affectionately known as Jim T. Prime Minister was also present to pay last respects to Iris May Tulloh, one of the first females to join the Jamaica Constabulary Force in 1949. Jamaica-China relations continue to be strengthened. The latest cooperation came during a recent courtesy call between Minister without portfolio responsible for information and the Regional Director of Chinese State Media Xinhua News Agency. The meeting discussed the exchange of information and news, broadening access to Xinhua News Agency, and increasing coverage of Jamaican news in China. Mrs. Simpson Miller attended the annual Ru John Foundation reception. The foundation provides for the education of at-risk youth. And the Prime Minister met with Sean Latty, the new Managing Director of Columbus Communications, Operators of Flow. At the June 25 meeting, Mrs. Simpson Miller commended the company on its service offerings and its contribution to the economy. That's it for this week's edition of Jamaica House Weekly. Join us next time for the latest news coming out of the office of the Prime Minister.
What should children do if they're being abused? Do they talk to a friend, tell a relative or a teacher? We went out the road to hear the public's views.
I think that they should tell somebody who's close to them, like a close family member who they can put their trust in.
I think they should report it to a family member
or the teacher in school, you know, and let somebody know instead of keep it to themselves.
Report it to the police station or to a loved one. Report it to their parents. If it's not parents, the teacher, right? Probably somebody at the school, they should report it.
Tell the cops, I don't really want that nobody abuse their children behind your back or their children anything where that's wrong. You see me? Me as a man, I have my daughter, I love her, you see me? So I don't want nobody to hurt her. I make me not know her something.
Well, I have two daughters, 7 and 10, and I always try to tell them that whatever it is, always come to mommy, come to daddy, you know, tell somebody if mommy and daddy not there are other people like grandma that you can tell if somebody does something to you.
I would tell the child to talk to anybody, an adult. Don't be afraid. And if adult don't listen, call the police. Yeah, call the police. 119.
What I expect there to do is they're supposed to report it to somebody big, and then that person will take it to the child care development agency, and from there they take it to the court's office or to the police, and then they will take it. The police will take it from there.
Well, I'll definitely tell them to go to the parent, the person who is not abusing them. So the person that they confide in the most, the mother or the father or sister or brother, definitely one of those persons.
Okay, so you have heard of the public's response on what children should do. However, our children are protected under the Child Care and Protection Act. Get the facts now on the rights that all children have as we encourage them to be bold and speak out.
The law is big on children, big on their care and protection, and has empowered them with the tools to ensure that they are. Here's how it is for children under the law.
We have a right to receive care under the law. This means that we must be given food, clothes, a place to live, and education and health care.
Make sure that we are fully immunized and registered in and attending school. And yes, we need love. Plenty and plenty of it.
We must neither be sold nor given drugs, such as cocaine, marijuana, cigarettes, or alcoholic drinks like beer, rum, or stouts.
Drugs and alcohol are very bad for our health. They may disrupt our sleeping patterns, make us dizzy, or make it difficult for us to breathe.
The law asks adults when making decisions that affect us to ensure that our interests are protected. In fact, it says that we are to be allowed to say how we think these decisions will affect us.
The law has nothing against us doing things around the house. In fact, chores are good. It teaches us responsibility and life skills. However, we should not be doing any form of work that may affect our health or education.
Neither should we be allowed to live or beg on the streets. If we are, or if we are not attending school, or if we are taking drugs, it's a duty of adults to get help for us.
We too have responsibility to get help if we are being harmed or abused. Let's not keep it to ourselves. We should talk to an adult we trust. We should not stop talking until the abuse stops, and we should not feel guilty or blame ourselves about it.
Do you know what else we can do if we are being abused? We can tell our teacher or the guidance counselor at school, or we can call the Child Development Agency. Get pencil and paper and write down the number.
Are you ready? It's 948-6678. That's 948-6678.
Remember, boys and girls, if you are being abused, do not keep it to yourselves.
They learn to survive until they gain control. Nobody says you have to be gangster.
Musicians, users of music instruments. If you're a registered member of the Jamaica Federation of Musicians or the Recording Industry of Jamaica, you may apply for a waiver of duty on the importation of music equipment. You'll need to submit the following: a letter of request to the Film Commission or Creative Industries Unit and a pro forma invoice detailing the items being imported with corresponding serial numbers and costs. Jamaica Promotions Corporation JAMPRO will submit the documents to the Ministry of Finance for approval. You must get approval before the items arrive. For more information on the Music Tools of Trade incentive, click on the Tourism and Entertainment Ministry's website at mot.gov.jm or call the Ministry's Entertainment Division at 920-4926-30.
For too long we hear that the music sell off, yet in spite of its selling off, we barely seen the profits. Cabinet has affirmed the need to protect Jamaican musical art form and the country's cultural heritage. There has been a joint submission between the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce, the Ministry of Tourism and Entertainment, and the Ministry of Youth and Culture to have reggae inscribed on the UNESCO representation list of intangible cultural heritage of humanity. We have applied for trademark protection of our reggae, Mr. Speaker. Not that we're going to, not that we're thinking of, but for the first time we have applied, and also applied for other authentic Jamaican musical art forms.
With love, surely goodness and mercy shall follow.
Oh, the grooving sounds of two of our legendary Jamaican artists, reggae's king Bob Marley and its crown prince Dennis Emmanuel Brown. Though they are no longer with us, their vibrant music is a lasting testament of their legacy. On the arts page this week, we take a look at how these iconic musicians continue to make their presence felt beyond the grave. Decades after his death, he's still selling millions of albums, receiving numerous awards, and maintains relevance and interest in his music. Jamaica's reggae ambassador Bob Marley has constant notoriety all over the world. This unwaning interest in the man and his music has inspired big Hollywood productions, local celebrations, and film works trying to unveil the natural mystery. Top American acts and children of the reggae legend reminded old and introduced new audiences to the magic of Marley's music, mesmerizing us in a star-studded tribute at the 2013 Grammys. Fans have also been thoroughly entertained at the annual Bob Marley celebrations, showcased right here in Jamaica. But that's not all. 2013 has also witnessed the screening of a movie chronicling the life and work of the Gong. It follows another Bob Marley film produced by his children and screened in Jamaica in 2012. But the Esther Anderson-produced documentary focuses on Marley before the glitz and glamour of fame. Called Bob Marley, Making of a Legend, it features never-before-seen black and white photos of Bob Marley and the Wailers.
You'll never ever see me again, so no stand. Never ever see me again, my friend.
Love and hate can never be free. Oh no, here I come with love and not hatred.
Sometimes I stumble on the street, yeah. Try my best to make ends meet.
Only you gave new meaning to my life. How could I live? How could I possibly go on?
Artists and everyday Jamaicans alike are still in awe of the late Dennis Brown's music, and they're not afraid to show it.
Here I come. He was my best friend and I miss him so much. Believe me, yo, right now my heart full. But I'm glad to see it turn out.
Happy birthday.
Dennis Brown lives on, you know. All of my friends that passed away, you know, we're focusing on Dennis Brown now. It's the belated birthday. You know, and I'm so honored to be here, you know.
Reggae music is what we're really known for, and you know, if you say Bob Marley was the king, you know, Dennis Brown is the crown prince. So these persons set a foundation for us in tourism. It is something which has set us apart probably from all the other countries, giving us that advantage in having our music or culture that's out there. And so therefore we have to pay tribute to it.
Dennis was very strong on education and didn't get a chance to go to high school, but still respects education. So after he died and the trust was formed, we thought that the best way to go was to emphasize on education, so we went to school, Central Branch.
Since its inception, the Dennis Brown Trust has helped over 50 students from Central Branch while supporting 6 up to the tertiary level. Dennis Emmanuel Brown, Robert Nesta Marley, the Crown Prince and King of Reggae, legends beyond the grave, still alive in the hearts of the people.
Family, school, church, community, all important agents of change in our society.
They influence what we think about ourselves, our surroundings, and how we see the roles of males and females.
Let's all work together for equality for all Jamaicans.
Let's make Jamaica a place where both males and females have equal access to a good education, good jobs, the best healthcare, and opportunities for the good of the country.
Males and females are different, but it doesn't mean they're not equal.
Let's build a Jamaica that doesn't discriminate. Become an agent of change.
Hi, this is Tessan, and I want all you young people to listen to me very carefully. Crime doesn't pay. You can do so much with your life. Don't throw it away in some gang. Stay in school and work hard for what it is you want. It's up to you. Your future will be determined by the decisions you make. Remember, a gang is a dead end.
A message from the Ministry of National Security.
Childhood should be carefree, playing in the sun, not living a nightmare in the darkness of the soul, says author Dave Pelzer in his novel, A Child Called It. All of us have a vital part to play in ensuring our children are protected and empowered. Remember, if you know of any cases of child abuse or human trafficking, call the Office of the Children's Registry at 1-888-PROTECT. That is 1-888-776-8328. Send us your feedback on today's program by emailing Jamaica Magazine, jis.gov.jm, and to stay informed, visit our website, jis.gov.jm, as well as our Facebook and Twitter platforms. On behalf of the entire hard-working production team here at the JIS, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Do take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.